And I do want to go over the latest here at the top of the hour. This is the post from President Trump as he says, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. I want to discuss all of this here and break down the situation. So let's bring in Sam Brownback, the former ambassador for international religious freedom during the first Trump administration. He's also a former governor, senator, and congressman. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on this Sunday morning.
My pleasure to join you, and thank you for covering this topic. It's really needed to get some light, and I appreciate Fox News giving some attention to it.
And I did want to ask you if you can kind of start off here by explaining what the situation on the ground is for folks who are only getting these bits and pieces from Truth Social and things of that nature.
What you've got is a terrorist convention that's taking place inside of Nigeria. Multiple terrorist groups. They're funding radical Islamic groups. And what they're doing is trying to dislocate the Christian communities throughout, particularly the middle belt of Nigeria. And they're just trying to run them out. They're killing them. They're raping and pillaging and pushing them into displacement camps as a way of taking over the land. That's what's taking place at its root.
When you look at this a little bit closer here, how is the Nigerian government actually responding to this? Because you saw the post there on Truth Social from President Trump, where essentially he said they better get to action.
The sad part about how they're responding is their response has been basically a lobbying effort to Washington saying this isn't happening, when it is happening. That's been the real disappointment part of it, because in the first Trump administration, when he met with the president of Nigeria at that time, he told him, he said, you better take care of the Christians that are being persecuted. And the president then sent his military to those regions where they were being attacked, and the persecution dropped down dramatically. They have the capacity to address this. They have been feckless or unwilling or whatever, not been doing it. And you also have another complicating factor there, is that China and Russia has been sinking their claws deeper and deeper into Nigeria. And that's also at work, I believe, in the background of what's taking place or not taking place by the Nigerian government today.
With the announcement from President Trump and these posts there on social media, is U.S. intervention, U.S. troops there, actually a real distinct possibility?
I think it's a distinct possibility with this president. And I think it would be probably special forces going directly at the heart of these Islamic terrorist organizations, going at their distribution networks to blow those up. These networks are then funding and arming localized groups to do the attacking. And that's what I think they would target probably for disrupting and dislocating that flow of arms and supplies into these groups that are conducting the actual terrorist activities.
Is there any real alternative here aside from U.S. troops and other forces going in? Is there anything that really can be done based on your expertise and really your opinion there?
Yes, there is, actually. Nigeria has the capacity to do something here. They've shown it in the past. They're not doing it now. And I think President Trump is right to highlight this and to push them to action like he did in his first term. But to me, what I would do right now is he did the first thing I believe is correct, making them a country of particular concern. We'd done that in the first Trump administration. He did it again now. That gives him authority to do sanctions against the Nigerian government and against the Nigerian leadership to target them. I would go at this and take a page out of the communist Chinese playbook of sanctioning very targeted, specific, export-sensitive products from Nigeria to the United States. Things like cashew nuts, and say, we're going to put 100% tariff on those items and just pick several of those initially and say, I'm doing this, I'm doing it today. If you guys don't stop, the pressure is going to increase. And that's where I would start with it on real actions towards the Nigerian government, because what we really want is for them to act and to take on this situation. And they can do it if they can get properly motivated.
Again, a lot of us are really just hearing about the situation in general from these posts by President Trump and becoming more aware of the situation there in Nigeria. Is there anything else that you think maybe people don't fully understand about the situation there? Maybe a misconception or piece of disinformation or misinformation that is spreading about this?
I think what people don't recognize is the size and scale of what this thing could blow up and be. You're talking about Islamic militant groups that want to make the entire middle region of Africa into a caliphate of 250 million people. You've already had 3 military coups in the region in the last several years. And Nigeria could fall into that as well. And then you get this entirely destabilized area that you get Islamic radicals running much of it, or military coups that are backed by Russia and China. This is really a desperate situation on the youngest continent on the planet, the one where a lot of the future investment, a lot of rare earth minerals are located in this area. And I think we've got to get much more aggressive in dealing with this situation where the Chinese and the Russians and the Islamic radicals have beat us there. We've got to get engaged.
What do we watch for here in the coming days and weeks?
Action, action by President Trump and action by the Nigerian government. I think the other thing you watch for is a military coup in Nigeria, which I wouldn't rule out taking place as well with these weakened governments that exist in the area and the success of military coups in the region. Those are 3 things I'd be watching for in the days and weeks ahead.
Sam Brownback, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and help discuss this. It's a topic, of course, that a lot of people are talking about right now, from, just celebrities. We're hearing from people like Nicki Minaj about all of this as well. She's been invited to go to the United Nations headquarters there, the embassy, as all of this is playing out. Anything we missed? Anything you want to add before I let you go?
I hope people are praying for the people in the region too, particularly the Christians being persecuted. This is horrific. It's been going on a long time. It's the most deadly country to be a Christian on the planet, and they need our help and support.
All right, Sam, thank you again for taking the time to be here. We definitely appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And as I mentioned, there are celebrities that are talking about this here. We do have Nicki Minaj. She actually responded to President Trump's initial post saying that he was going to make Nigeria a, quote, country of particular concern, saying that is the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, something must be done. Now, Nicki Minaj's post says, reading this made me feel a deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely worship God. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. Numerous countries all around the world are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend we don't notice. Thank you to the president and his team for taking this seriously. God bless every persecuted Christian. Let's remember to lift them up in prayer. Now, of course, we did also hear from Mike Waltz, the ambassador there to the United Nations, who responded here to Nicki Minaj, saying, Nicki, thank you for using your platform to speak out in defense of the Christians being persecuted in Nigeria. We cannot allow this to continue. Every brother and sister of Christ must band together and say, enough. If you ever find yourself in New York, come by the U.S. Embassy to the United Nations. I would love to speak with you in more depth about what our administration is doing to protect Christians' freedom all over the world. Again, that is a post there from Ambassador Mike Waltz.